Happy 4th of July, boys and girls. What better way to celebrate America than by reviewing a Japanese movie? And the movie I want to review is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the 14th film in the Godzilla franchise. Now, I have Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla on VHS. This actually came on a box set where it came with Godzilla vs. Gigan. Now, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was co-written and directed by Jun Fukuda, who also directed several other Godzilla movies prior to this. This also came out in 1974, which at the time was the 20th anniversary of the original Godzilla. The film was later released in the US in 1977 under the title Godzilla vs. the Bionic Monster, and then it was re-released as Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster. Now, this is easily the best of the 70s Godzilla films by far, and it's the best of Jun Fukuda's Godzilla films. This is even a fan favorite among people who don't typically like this era of Godzilla. Now, I like the 70s Godzilla films for what they are, but this period was considered to be kind of a low point in the Godzilla franchise because during this time the films were being made almost exclusively for children, and Godzilla was no longer this horrifying metaphor for atomic destruction. Rather, he was a superhero, a defender of the Earth. And the Godzilla films during this period were notoriously goofy, but with Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, you could tell that they were trying to appeal a little more to adults this time around, because the film does have a slightly darker, slightly more serious edge than some of the previous Godzilla films, while still being a little goofy. Also, Toho gave Jun Fukuda a much bigger budget to work with this time around, but it works! This is easily the best of the 70s era of Godzilla, and this is also one of my top 10 favorite Godzilla sequels. Now, the plot of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is it revolves around an ancient prophecy that a monster will come and try to destroy the Earth, but then two other monsters will try to save the Earth. Now, being that this is in the Godzilla universe, I'm like, hasn't that happened already? But whatever. But it appears that the prophecies are coming true when Godzilla attacks Japan. Now, at this point in the series, it appeared that Godzilla was on mankind's side. But soon it's revealed that this is not actually Godzilla, but a robot made to look like Godzilla, dubbed Mechagodzilla. And we find this out when the real Godzilla shows up to do battle with his mechanical clone. It turns out that Mechagodzilla was built by aliens who want to take over the Earth, and throughout the film the aliens are trying to get their hands on this magical statue that could awaken an ancient god called King Caesar. The reason they want to do this is because King Caesar and Godzilla are the only things that could stop them from conquering the Earth. So, throughout the film, the human characters are trying to keep the statue away from the aliens, and eventually they do wake up King Caesar. And the film leads to this epic showdown between Godzilla, King Caesar, and Mechagodzilla, a showdown that could determine the fate of the human race. Now, one thing I think is really interesting about this movie is you have all this science fiction with Mechagodzilla and the aliens, but you also have a lot of fantasy in the film with King Caesar, and I think it's interesting how you have King Caesar, who represents something ancient and magical, going up against Mechagodzilla, who represents something futuristic and mechanical. Now, the human characters in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla certainly aren't the deepest or most complex characters in the world, but they work for this kind of movie. My favorite character was definitely the Interpol agent Nabara. He was such a badass. He's kind of this, like, mysterious character where you're not really sure if he's gonna turn out to be a hero or a villain. Now, the actor who plays Nabara, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name because I know I'm going to butcher it. But this actor actually played Dracula, or characters based on Dracula, in two vampire films that Toho did, Lake of Dracula and Evil of Dracula. Series veteran Akihiko Hirata plays Professor Majima, a professor who's forced to work for the aliens in order to save his daughter's life. He's also a pretty good character. Now, Hiroshi Koizumi also has a small role in the movie, and Kenji Sahara has a brief cameo in the film. Both of these actors, like Akihiko Hirata, have also appeared in many other Godzilla films before this as different characters. The other human characters in the movie are a little flat, serviceable for the movie itself, but again, definitely not the deepest or most complex characters in the world. The alien leader is certainly a two-dimensional character, but he's still a fun villain. And I gotta say that the monster fights in this movie are actually pretty brutal. Like, there's a fight between Mechagodzilla and Anguirus towards the beginning of the film, where Mechagodzilla rips Anguirus' jaws open. And then at the fight at the end, Godzilla gets shot at one point, and blood is like squirting out everywhere. And I gotta say this, you gotta give the suit actors in these movies all the credit in the world, because there's actually a lot of pyrotechnics in these movies where they're setting off explosions and fires right by these suit actors, and there's a good chance these suit actors could be lit on fire. But once again, I love Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. This isn't just a great Godzilla movie, but this is also a great action movie and a great sci-fi fantasy film in general. And it takes everything I love about the 70s Godzilla films, where it is cheesy, it is goofy, but it improves it to a point where even people who prefer the more serious Godzilla films, I think, can still enjoy this. Now, this film was successful enough to get a direct sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla, which came out the year after this, which was the final film of the original Godzilla series. But this was later remade in 1993 during the Heisei Godzilla series. Mechagodzilla appeared twice during the Millennium era, in Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla and then in Godzilla Tokyo SOS. And a variation on Mechagodzilla appeared during the second film of the anime Godzilla trilogy, City on the Edge of Battle. Mechagodzilla really has gone on to become one of the most iconic and recognizable villains in this series, probably next to King Ghidorah. Now, before I end this video, I want to cut to my friend Christian Feliciano, giving his thoughts on this movie.
Now we're talking. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. This is one of the baddest films I've ever seen. This is one of the most badass Godzilla films. Because what you have here is a character, Mechagodzilla, who's literally a robot version of Godzilla. You know, it looks like Godzilla on the top, but once you shred off its skin, you see that it's a robot. And I thought that was awesome, to have an anti-Godzilla created by aliens fighting Godzilla. And I'm really hoping that in the new movies that they do Mechagodzilla again. But are they going to do aliens? I don't know, because so far we haven't seen aliens, but I would really like to see the aliens return. Just make them more, instead of people just in costume, make them more creative, more inventive. I don't know if they're going to do CGI. I don't know what they're going to do. But if they do aliens, I hope that, they make them look more creative. I still hope that they do the saucers, though, because I like saucers. But I want to see Mechagodzilla again. I want to see Mechagodzilla return and fight Godzilla. And somehow that'll tie into Ultraman coming into this series. And, I know I'm not talking about Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, but just, I'm so excited for the new movies that I really want to see Mechagodzilla return, because he is one of the best, it is one of the best Godzilla villains out there. I just really like the idea of there being an anti-Godzilla, kind of like the Bane, how Bane is to Batman, just like he's the anti-Batman. I want to see this character return, this creature return, this monster, this robot return to fight Godzilla. And then there's just so many things you can do with that. You can put, like I said, Ultraman. You can put, God knows what else. You could put Voltron if you wanted to. Whatever you're going to do, you can just expand the universe even more. But yeah, when it comes to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, really great film. Really great how Godzilla is framed. They do that old, comic book thing where the superhero is framed. Well, Godzilla is framed in this film because, of course, Mechagodzilla is going around as Godzilla, destroying things, and people think it's Godzilla. And then, of course, you find out, no, that this is a robot designed to destroy the Earth by the aliens, and then of course Godzilla has to, clear his name and fight this evil Godzilla, and that's a plot for your ass. I mean, that's just, I really enjoy this film, and I highly recommend everybody check it out. It's just a great film.